On this episode of Speak Your Brain, I have my good friend Kari Cassandra. She's a model, author. Her book's going to come out soon. And she's just an all-around awesome person that I really love talking to. I'm going to find your personality type. So this is my co-star. I find people's personality types on this, and then I judge them based on. No, I'm kidding.
Exactly. No, honestly, I feel like after this, we're still gonna have so much more to talk about that we're just gonna have 100%. To hang out.
It's just like when you know a bunch of these things, it gives you like a preview into the person's like mind and their personality, and it just like I don't know. It's just easier when you like know a bunch of like people's like psychology, or in your case, you're good with like zodiac signs and stuff. Tell me a little bit about that, because I never really got into that.
Well, basically, there's your sun sign, which everybody knows about.
Right.
And this is kind of the basic makeup of who you are. Like, you know, this is your ego and your wants and your day-to-day personality. But along with that, there are planets that fall into different signs in your chart, which manage different aspects of your life or different aspects of your personality, which can be amplified depending on what sign it's in. So I find this really important because I feel like you said, it kind of gives you an insight to the person's life. And for me, it's not about restrictions being like, you know, you're a Leo, so you must be dramatic or like things like that. I just think that's ridiculous. I think that it's more so about understanding other people and being like, oh, she is reacting this way possibly because maybe that's just what comes naturally to her. Right. Or like, this is how we differ. And instead of, you know, judging people and like placing judgment on their actions, you can, you know, be more objective about how you feel about a person or what they're saying or doing. And same about yourself. Like, I think really diving into your own zodiac chart and learning about the different types of personalities, I think it kind of gives you a better understanding of who you are and know your strengths and weaknesses, or, you know, where you might grow, you know, better than other places and along those lines.
I totally agree. I think that's so important to like know your strengths and your weaknesses and like know what triggers you. Know in what situations and for what reasons, like whether it's like, but that's kind of like why I like more personality psychology more than zodiac, because to me zodiac signs and that topic always seemed like a bar type of like a, what do you call them, like a bar trick where like people just like talk about stuff like when they're out and it's like fun, and there might not be like actual scientific like proof to it. And like every time, like especially in LA, like girls are so obsessed with zodiac signs. Like as soon as you like meet someone, immediately they're like, what's your zodiac sign? And you, like in my case especially, I say Leo, and it's like people go into two categories. They either immediately love me or they do not want to see me again. And I'm like, man.
Well, see, I think that has a lot to do with people not understanding truly what they represent and what they mean. Every sign is a certain type of energy that we all have. And depending on where the planets are in your chart, it will be stronger than others. Right. And I think for me, I love psychology. I like anything that helps me figure out people's personalities or the brain. But like I was telling you earlier, my mom has studied astrology as well. And I do find it very supportive when you think about the astrological aspects as well and how science can tie into it. And the fact that, you know, cultures have studied this for millennia, you know, and I think that gives it a lot of credibility.
Yeah. And I mean, I recently noticed that there is science to it. Astrology is the study of stars.
No, it really is. And I think about it in a way of, you know, before electricity and the city lights and all these distractions, I mean, humanity just had the stars to look up at night. This is what we did everything based on, our farming. It's how we found out the seasons, and, you know, it's also how they, you know, discovered personalities. And
right.
Yeah, so it's kind of like their psychology before we had all this actual science.
Right. Yeah, so it's probably like much older. That's why it like had more time to go around and more people know about, for example, zodiac signs than, for example, personality types.
Yeah.
So my thing is like I would love for like a personality type test to become as popular as
Oh yeah, definitely.
zodiac signs. Like I would love to like go into a bar and people ask me, "What's your
Oh my
personality
God,
type?"
can you imagine?
You know, what's your personality type? And
love
I
that.
would be like, "Oh shit. Let's
Yeah,
talk about that." You know, I would
definitely.
be so happy if somebody like asked me that because it's so rare. But like people always ask each other, "What's your zodiac sign?" And for the most part, someone like you, and I have a few friends that are very into it, and they can actually like ask you a few other questions than what's your zodiac sign and kind of draw a better conclusion.
Yeah.
But for the most part, as like a trendy subject of just saying what's your zodiac sign and you say Leo and it just comes with like really basic few things and that I really don't even agree with.
Well,
like Leos are supposed to be assholes,
Yeah.
like arrogant and like dramatic, as you said, and like super into flashy things.
Well, this is kind of like every sign has the positive and the negative. Leos are all supposed to be very, very loyal,
True.
you know, and very energetic. And I think there's also an evolved Leo and an unevolved Leo, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And also, you might have other things grounding you down. So, for example, when I peeked at your chart earlier, we have two major things in common. We have a Virgo rising and a Sagittarius moon. So right away, I can tell you that like the Virgo rising, we were talking about how we're always early and always on time. This is my whole life. My mom been like, that's the Virgo in you. Virgos, they're punctual. They're very grounded. And I feel like that has to do with my rising. I'm very punctual, on time. And then the Sagittarius moon, I can see it in you so clearly because the Sagittarius energy is all about philosophical thinking, broadening our perspective. What's the deeper meaning of it? Sagittarius stereotype would be, you know, loves to study, loves to learn, can't get enough of the philosophical, the theory. And that's in the moon, and your moon sign is like what you need. It's your soul. So I feel like we kind of are on the same page with that, where we need to be learning more. We need to be questioning, and that's great
100%.
that I can see that right away in your chart. 100%. It makes sense.
No, it's funny because we were immediately talking about that. I've had a few people on the podcast, I think like 7, 8, and one of them was on time. The rest have been late. So, and like we're all models, and like you know how it is in modeling community is like barely anyone is ever early or on time, let alone early. So today you were like, so this is what I started doing. If I'm going to start a podcast at 7, I tell people to be here at 6:45.
I saw that you said 6:45, and I said, okay, I'll be there earlier.
And then you were here at 6:30, and I was here at 6:30, and I was like, what? So that was cool. So that's the Virgo rising.
Yeah, so that's kind of how you present yourself to the world, and kind of the mask you put on, and also like the first impression.
The
with
mask. Because when you say mask, that seems that means
not
fake.
in a fake way, but a mask sort of like this is the first thing people get of you.
A persona.
This is the first layer.
Right.
It's not necessarily a persona because it is a makeup of who you are, but it's kind of that first layer. So you might not come across as that Leo dramatic, flashy, you know, because that Virgo's more sturdy, more, you know, and same with me because I'm a Gemini. So people might assume that I'm just like that crackhead energy, quote unquote, which I am. But when you first meet me, I might be a little more, I don't know, poised.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, definitely.
But another interesting thing though is that, so in a for example, in a nature versus nurture, would this be the nature? Would this chart be basically your nature? Because that was the time and the place that you were born, and that's how you were affected by the stars. So that's your nature.
Exactly. So I think that it is your nature. But I think what I said earlier about the signs evolving, I think nobody's restricted. Nobody's put in a box. Just because you're, a Leo doesn't mean you have to be a certain way, especially if you're aware. If you're a mindful person and you can be conscious and think like, oh, I can grow in this direction, or I don't have to act a certain way.
Right.
So that's the nurture part of it, I suppose.
Yeah, it's like after you gain some self-awareness, hopefully, if you ever do. There are some people that never do. But then you can be like, oh, these things, we were talking about like strengths and weaknesses. Like you can be like, oh, these are the things that suck about me.
Yeah.
These are the times that I'm an asshole, I'm a jerk, I hurt people, I say the wrong things, I do the wrong things, I make the wrong decisions, and then these are my strengths. And then you kind of like easily, like, not easily, it's simple, but it's not easy.
Right. And so it's the same with, the personality type. You can find 100% your strength and weakness.
You know what was really interesting to me? When I got into Myers-Briggs personality type, which was like a few years ago, I really like got into it, like immediately, just like really started learning about it. First, I wanted to figure myself out and like figure out where my weirdnesses come from, or like, why is my decision making this way? Why am I so indecisive? All these like things that I would like kind of question and I didn't understand where it comes from. But slowly it actually like helped me understand the people around me also. Because like you learn about yourself and then you learn about the people around you, and you understand where they come from when they say something that seems strange to you, or when they do something that seems so bizarre. And then you kind of like understand how their brain functions, and you're like, oh wait, I'm not as mad as I would be at this person had I not known that this is how he perceives information and processes and responds back to the world. So I got really into that. And then one of my friends got really into the Zodiac signs at the same time. So a few years later, she like really tried to get me into it. And I was just kind of like, I don't know, it's not really scientific. Like I would rather like pick psychology. But then I did the app that you told me, and I did my charts, and I read it, and what was really interesting was that it told me exactly the same things that Myers-Briggs told me.
Yeah.
Just in different words, in different categorization. But like, for example, you say like, this is like your ego, this is like your how you feel, this is
wants versus needs, and
exactly. So these are like categories that zodiac signs tell you. For example, with Myers-Briggs, it tells you like extrovert, introvert, sensing, intuitive, thinking, feeling, judging, perceiving.
Right.
But really, it just came all down and like it's like in one beautiful like bow. And I was like, oh my God, it's giving me the exact same thing. It's just like different paths. So that's when I gained some respect for also like Zodiac, because before that I just thought it's just like, oh my God, you're a Libra, I'm a Gemini. It's like, that's, and like
I think it's a common purpose is just like you were saying, to understand yourself and also how to understand others. And I think and I love Myers-Briggs also. I studied psychology as well, so for a little bit. I didn't get my degree. It's okay, guys.
That's totally fine. you don't need it.
But we learned a lot about it. So
where'd you go to school?
I went to CU in Colorado. University.
Okay. Yeah, you're from Denver, which is also cool.
Yes, Denver, Colorado.
So when did you move to LA?
I moved to LA 3 years ago. I was based in Colorado, and I was just kind of traveling for a few months at a time to different states and different cities. And when I was in LA, I just work picked up, and it was really an unintentional move. I had an apartment in Colorado with an ex-boyfriend, and I kind of just kept coming back to LA with more luggage.
Oh, God.
I just like kind of slowly moved, and just found my home here with my friends and my job. And
did you bring the boyfriend or did you leave him?
We left him.
Nice.
Yeah. We're friends now, so it's okay. But yeah, that was a few years ago. And my mom actually moved my stuff out of that apartment for me. Thanks. Shout out to Mom. And I moved to LA. I moved in by myself.
Where did you live?
For the past 2 years. I lived in West Hollywood. And I just moved to Silver Lake, so I'm super excited.
That is cool. Silver Lake is cute. I live in downtown, but I'm actually about to move out and move to West Hollywood. To me, like when I first moved to LA, which was like, how many years ago? I don't know, a few years ago. I moved to North Hollywood because I couldn't afford being in the city. And then I was there for like 2 years, and then slowly I moved to downtown. I've been in downtown for 2 years, and now I'm finally moving to West Hollywood because I always wanted to live in West Hollywood. West Hollywood was to me just like
I do love West Hollywood.
The coolest spot, and it's like central and it's like beautiful.
It's nice.
All my favorite restaurants are there. But it's interesting to me that you moved to LA and you like straight moved to West Hollywood. Like, how did you do that?
So originally when I was traveling, I was staying in model apartments.
Oh, okay.
So this is obviously a really common thing. And I started off in a model apartment for LA models in West Hollywood. And
so from an agency.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was an agency model apartment, and I was there for 2 months and fell in love with the city.
Yeah.
And made amazing friends here. So I kept coming back and staying at the model apartment, and eventually I was making enough money to get my own place, and I moved it by myself. And
what was it like living in a model apartment?
I
always wondered.
Well, I'll start off by saying this. All of my best friends I met in model apartments. They were all my roommates, which that's a really great takeaway. But I also have some people that I really don't like that I lived with as well. So
how many people were you guys in one apartment?
So so one of my model apartments in LA was 8 girls.
How many bedrooms?
That was 3 bedrooms. So there were 2 bedrooms that had 3 beds and one that had 2.
Okay.
Super glamorous.
So was it like a nice...
So model apartments aren't really that nice, and that's a really...
Okay, so you're being sarcastic when you
say they're not nice. Model apartments are like really run down. They are not taken care of, and we pay far too much for them. I'm pretty sure it's like $50 a night, which ultimately ends up being around...
$50 a night?
Yeah.
Wait, so you still have to pay in a model apartment? I thought you get it because you're pretty.
No. So basically what happens is an agency will bring you out. So I would come out to LA and they're like, okay, in your contract, here's your model apartment. It's $50 a night. And as I work and I do a job, let's say I do a job for $2,000, then that $2,000 I don't get, they get it to pay off my model apartment and to pay off my website fees and to pay off my comp cards that they printed.
And then at the end of the day, you get $75 out of that too.
Right. So it's a really tough, it's a tough thing for models. You know, they struggle really hard with money, and it's really not spoken about a lot. I feel very grateful and lucky that with my agency now, I'm with Lips. They really push me, and
Lips?
and I have a lot of great clients with them. So I work well, and I'm really, really lucky and grateful for that. But I've been through it. I've been modeling for 10 years, and I've been through being super broke, and I've been through agencies stealing money from me. I mean, my first model apartment was in Japan. I moved there when I was 16, and
that's cool.
Yeah, I just wish that I was older to really experience it better. I don't think I appreciated it as much as I would have now.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 23.
Oh, you're so cute. You're so young.
I moved to Japan, and
how old were you when you went to Japan?
I had just turned 16.
Okay.
My mom cried at the airport, waved me off. I went to Japan. That was crazy. I got really lucky there. That model apartment, like it was a whole apartment building, but each of us had our own little apartment. It was like a studio type
sick.
thing. It didn't have a full kitchen. It was like you had like a hot plate.
That's so much better than sharing a room with 3 other bitches. But it was really cool.
Yeah, exactly. In a bunk bed, nonetheless.
And girls are dirty.
Oh, there are some girls. So from country to country, everybody has different, social standards and morals, and you run into a lot of different girls from all over the world. And it is so easy for girls to just butt heads in these places, and they just don't get it. I remember once when I was living in Greece, I shared a room with this other American girl who we've stayed best friends too. She's from Arizona. And one night they were like, we have to move in this girl just for like a few nights. She's staying in your room. And we're like, okay, whatever. I get home from like a really long day of castings. I'll tell you, like 8 castings. It's like 90 to 100 degrees in Greece. You're walking everywhere. You're sweaty. You're like, I just want to get home. I'm so tired. I walk into my apartment. There's like a girl in there, like sprawled on my bed, using all my stuff. I was like my charger, and I was like,
did you kill her?
Not yet. Not yet. So what happened is I was like, okay. So I went to our little mini fridge. We have like one little fridge in there.
She ate your food.
Oh no, she took my food out, threw it in the trash right next to the fridge, and put her food in there. And I said, why did you, like, what are you thinking, you know? And she then said that there wasn't room for her food, so
there's not enough room in this
that was
room.
Her solution was to throw away
now.
our food so she could put hers in there. And she really thought that this was
a normal
She
thing
was just
to do.
looking at me like dead-eyed, just, what's the problem?
Are you stupid or are you playing stupid?
I then complained to the agency, and I think her room got moved after that.
So what happened? Like, did you guys like solve that, or?
They ended up just moving her to another room because me and my roommate were pretty upset about it. But yeah, luckily I've had good luck with, model apartments, but there are like those few little times that. I mean, I know girls who have horror stories.
Where was she from?
She was from Russia.
Oh.
Yeah, she was from Russia. What is that face Kyle's making over there?
Interesting? Not gonna lie, I have many Russian friends. Many of my best friends are actually Russian. What I've noticed about a lot of Russian girls, let me just put it this way. The most culturally different I've ever felt to someone has been Russian. And that is to say, I come from a really far place. And like, I came here and I didn't feel that different. But as soon as I started having some Russian friends, and again, some of my best friends are Russians. Like, this is no shade on Russians. It's just that, like, I feel like culturally, sometimes there's like a lot of difference. Like, here's an example. One time I went to pick up one of my Russian friends, and another one of her Russian friends came. Let's just name them Natasha and Nadia, which is also so stereotypical. So I went to pick up Natasha, and she said, oh, Nadia's coming here. I'm going to drive my own car to our second point. Can you give a ride to Nadia? I was like, fine, sure.
Yeah, whatever.
So me and Nadia started walking in my car, and then I get in the driver's seat, and this bitch, dead ass, gets in the back seat.
Like an Uber.
Yeah. I know. I was like, what?
That's so awkward.
And I told her, what are you doing? Why don't you come in the front? And she was like, no, I'm okay here.
What?
I'm like, what the hell, woman?
No, it's so weird. And you're right, no shade, but that's kind of what I was referring to before I started my story was, there's a lot of social differences. And
yeah.
And it's one of those, it brings us back to what we were saying, like, not even just personality types, but culture-wise. Like, you have to understand it and then say, you're not acting like this because you're an asshole.
No.
No. I mean, maybe sometimes, but, maybe this is your nurture.
You know what I knew, though? So the whole drive, I was just kind of, like, trying to figure out, like, what's happening. Yeah, she stayed in the back seat. So I was like, fuck it, let's just go. Just give me a 5-star. We start going, and then as soon as I park, she gets out of the car and she pays for the meter before I even get a chance to get out of the car. So I'm like, oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah,
I gave her a ride and she's like paying for the meter. So I was like, wait, maybe it's not that she's an asshole. Maybe it's just that I don't understand what it is, but there's something other than her being an asshole. It's like, maybe it's like a culture difference. I don't understand. Maybe I had stuff in the front that she didn't want to move.
Yeah,
I don't know.
True.
But to me, it was just kind of like, I know that she's not an asshole because she did that move. And maybe she was nice.
Maybe somebody in the past was like upset when she sat up front.
Yeah. I mean, there's like all these things. But yeah, like as you said, there's always that nurture, like that where you were raised. You know what's actually interesting? I didn't used to be punctual. I actually used to be really late to everything. And that's because of the country I come from. Like, anybody who knows Persians run on their own time. They don't care if you tell them to be somewhere at 8. they will be there when they're ready. Yeah. And this is a huge cultural thing. Like being a little late is extremely, extremely just like popular and normal in my country.
I experienced something similar like when I first started traveling, and I went to Japan, like I said, the first time I traveled for modeling. And there it was they're very punctual. And even in the subways in Japan, everybody is moving so fast. Like they just look straight forward. They all have briefcases. They're all serious. In suits. And they're just going. And everybody's just like, pshoo, pshoo, pshoo. And then I modeled overseas in Greece, and it was a total, flip. The Mediterranean lifestyle. It was like coffee shops open at 10 a.m. We're going to have dinner at 11 p.m.
Yeah.
And it was just so different. The subways were kind of like, oh.
Yeah, it's also like a history of a place, too.
Yeah.
It's like, as a country like Japan, where you, like, just got floored. And you had to, like, start basically from zero, and you had to catch up with the rest of the world.
That's actually very true.
So I feel like it gets, like, programmed into people's genetics, like,
generation after generation telling you, like, and this is how we have to be.
It gets passed down, but, like, somewhere like Greece, you're like, oh, let's go have some, what do they eat in Greece? I don't know. Pasta?
Yeah, like,
or
gyros.
Gyros.
Lamb. Feta cheese. So much feta cheese. Oh my gosh. Allergic to cheese now. Dang.
That sucks. I used to be, and I'm not anymore.
Oh, that's great. That's great news for me. Dude, I have been, let me just tell you, for the past 6 months of my life, it has been quite the journey because I grew up with perfect skin, which is totally flipping the subject here. Feta cheese brought me here. I had perfect skin, and I was just that kid that, like, I never washed off my makeup in high school. It didn't matter. And then this past year, I started getting really bad acne. This is for the girls who have acne. I'm going to give you some hope right now. I had horrible cystic acne, and it was just, oh my gosh, it was just embarrassing. It was depressing. I didn't even want to FaceTime my mom, see my friends. Like, I couldn't do anything to get rid of it. Like, it was awful, and it was all on my cheeks. And, I've done allergy tests in the past, but I did a new allergy test for food, like a food intolerance. I took my blood, and I developed tons of new allergies just in the past year. And as soon as I cut them out, the acne stopped. So if you're struggling with acne, guys, like, go get your blood taken and see, because I had never been allergic to dairy, and now I'm allergic to all dairy, including eggs. I was never allergic to any nuts, and now I'm severely allergic to cashews, almonds, pistachios.
Huh.
Yeah, because I've done this before. So I'm allergic to gluten, all dairy, eggs, all tree nuts, like weird things.
That's weird, because you would think that you would have an allergy from, like, when you're born.
No, so you can develop them, and apparently it's very common in your 20s, and the thing is, for me, the way the allergy manifested was not, in hives or my throat closing, but rather through my skin, like really horrible acne. And also, though, I did notice that when I cut out all these foods, it wasn't just my acne that cleared up, but I stopped getting anxiety and feeling tired. And I think that's really important, because if something is causing inflammation, for example, in your gut, that's reflecting through your skin, it's probably also causing inflammation in your brain.
100%.
So, if you feel like you struggle with anxiety or depression or something like that, that's also something to consider, is to find out what your body finds to be toxic and try to eliminate those things from your diet. And maybe you'll notice, a spike in energy or, less anxiety on a day-to-day basis. That's pretty cool.
100%. I just did that test with my boyfriend too, and turned out that he's allergic to garlic and onions, which good for me. His breath is never gonna smell. And I took it, and I wasn't allergic to anything, so I kind of felt like it was a waste of money.
No,
because that shit wasn't even cheap.
It's like $250.
No, mine was $400.
Oh wow!
And I had to pinch.
They took my blood, like IV.
Oh, so we did different ones. No, I had to, it came in a package to, okay, so this is how I got it, how we got interested in it. The CEO of the company that my boyfriend used to work at, I saw him one time, and he had slimmed down, many, many, many pounds. And I told him, oh my God, you look amazing. What did you do? And he said, well, I took a food allergy blood test and turned out that a bunch of things that I was eating on a regular day-to-day basis, I'm allergic to them. Not enough to, like, as you said, break out in hives. Because when
not
we
anaphylactic.
when we think like food allergy, we think like in the movies when someone eats like peanut and they just like choke up and die.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be like that. It could just be like little, like less like intense allergies to the point where you just like inflammations, I guess.
Inflammation,
inside.
in your joints, your gut, your skin, your brain, just very important things, you know?
So he said, I cut out those things out of my diet and I do the exact same everything else. Nothing else has changed. I just like cut those things out of my diet and he lost so much weight. So me and my boyfriend were so excited and we took it, and he only was allergic to those two things and mine was like nothing. I was
You
like,
guys are so lucky. Yeah, I'm like the worst person to like eat out with now. I can't eat anything on the menu. I'm like, oh.
But LA is the perfect place for you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because everyone's like kind of used to that. But this is what I wanted to ask you when you were talking about Japan before, when we went into this subject. What was your favorite thing about Japan? Because I went there last year. I went to Tokyo. Where did you go?
I was living in Osaka.
I don't know where that is.
It's like the second major city, but
Okay.
yeah, it's a great place. That's a great question. I'm reflecting now. Japan, I think my favorite thing about Japan...
Because Japan's really interesting. Like, there are a lot of places you go and then you're like, oh, that's cool, I have this and this. But Japan, you go and you're like, damn, it's different.
I think my favorite thing about Japan was just, the way the people treat each other. It's just a lot of respect. It's a lot of respect. And I remember my friends making fun of me when I came home from Japan because I was like just over the top nice to anyone I saw. We went into a gas station and when I walked in, I'm like, hi, how are you? I greeted him, did my shopping. And before I left, I was like, okay, have an amazing day. My friends were like, why are you being so weird? And I'm like, is that weird? It was just a thing. Every store you went into, they were just so like nice and respectful to you. People bow every time they see you.
Just to say hi, how are you, and have an amazing day seems pretty normal.
It feels,
Maybe your friends were just rude.
Maybe they were rude. It was, I think it was like something a little more than that, but they were just very, they were very respectful in Japan. And I think...
How long did you live there?
I was there for 3 months.
Okay. It's like good enough to like kind of like pick up on the culture.
Yeah. Maybe,
but then get the hell out before you get bored.
It didn't seem normal at the time because I was 16 years old, and I guess when you're 16, you're not really thinking like
culture differences.
You're not really thinking about like really asking a person how they are, which I always do in any checkout situation, even at the grocery store. I always make it a point to ask the person how they're doing. I ask them, when is your shift over? Just like something small.
Now 16, I feel like most people, like, you're a ding dong when you're 16.
Yeah, exactly.
At least
So
I
think it helped me grow up a little bit. I think modeling and traveling in general has helped me mature.
Yeah, 100%. So my favorite thing about Japan were the toilets.
Oh, that's
not gonna lie.
Oh my gosh.
You go into Japan, you enter the country. Yep. You're still at the airport. You're still at the airport. So even if you have a layover in Japan, which I don't know why you would ever have a layover in Japan, but if you ever go to Japan, in the airport, I went to the bathroom and immediately I was shocked. Immediately. The bathrooms were so different than US. In US, you go to the bathroom, there's like a little halfway door that's separating you from the outside world and the next door stall, and there's like a crack in between that like you can kind of see people as you're like peeing.
You like this low-key catch eye contact with someone, you're just like shit.
Yeah, and it's like super uncomfortable. You go to Japan, you go to the bathroom. It's a whole room, first of all. You enter a room of your own. Each bathroom is not just like a whatever.
That is.
It's like a whole ceiling to floor room. And the amount of machinery that you see in front of you that is just a toilet is fucking insane. You enter, the toilet greets you immediately. Like it opens
like,
its own thing. Like, what do you call the
toilet seat?
No, not
the lid?
The lid? You call it a lid?
What do you call
that shit?
Yeah, Kyle.
Wait, this is weird.
Toilet, the lid. The lid to the toilet.
The lid. Okay, fuck it. The lid. The lid opens and it starts singing. I'm not joking, people.
They sing.
You know what? It makes a noise so that you're comfortable to like pee and poop, because if it's silent, some people are like not comfortable. So you enter this room of your own, the toilet lid opens and it starts making bird noises in a forest, and you're like,
okay, but there are two sides to the toilets in Japan, though. There are these toilets, and there are also just holes in the ground type of toilets.
I haven't seen those.
There, yeah, definitely. I approached some of those just along this, along the castings and the agency, where it's just literally.
Ooh, I know what you're talking about.
Literally, you just have to squat over it.
You know, that's how the original toilets were before, like the West came, because that's how toilets used to be. Ground. Yeah, that's how toilets used to be in my country. And then like now there are like actual toilets that we're used to, but the hole in the ground, it's actually been scientifically proven that that's so much better for you. That's
right. That's why people buy those squatty potties. Yes.
Exactly.
But exactly. I mean, I love a smart toilet.
And I should actually know more about this, because like when you squat, I guess like the way your intestines are like opened up, it's just like easier for you to poop.
Yeah, because a toilet is not a natural thing on the earth, so naturally we
exactly. Instead of you having
I'm like doing the position.
Yeah. No, I swear, everywhere I go and like there's not a squatty potty, I just like find something.
You're like just holding your
like
legs
the
up.
Trash can. Just like
it's funny like a trash can. It's funny though that you're talking about bidets or like smart toilets, because my boyfriend just bought me a bidet, because
that's the most beautiful gift
housewarming gift. I just moved because he has one, and he's like he never stays at my place, and he's like, I refuse to stay over unless you have a bidet.
I love that about him.
So now I'm gonna have one. He's bought them for everybody in his family. Like,
I like that. I like the type of person that he is.
Yeah.
I bet he doesn't litter either.
This is what he asked me when I like first met him, and I was laughing about it. He does not litter, yeah. He said, let me ask you a question. He said, if you got shit on your chest, would you wipe it off or would you wash it off? And I said, well, of course I would wash it off. I said, well, why would you treat your asshole any different? Boom. And I was like, that's such a solid argument.
Give this man a medal.
I was like,
figured it out.
Everybody should have a bidet.
Yeah, and the thing is, like,
sponsored by like a bidet.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like people of West look down on people of East for so many like things. This is definitely one of the things that people of the East look down on people of the West. Like I remember in my country, like they would say like, oh, like these people have like dirty assholes, because like they basically like don't wash it. Like what do? They just wipe it. But like the idea of the bidet, or like how our toilets are, is that like, okay, just to like go back to the toilets in Japan, it opens, it sings, and then it washes your asshole with the temperature of the water that you choose.
Yeah.
And then it goes, so it dries. It dries your asshole. I'm like, what? You know what?
We shouldn't be. This is 2020. Okay?
It's just
2020.
I was in awe, and that I had just entered Japan.
We literally carry around like a computer in our pocket. We have smartphones, and we can't have a smart toilet.
I mean, we do. It's just like more expensive.
But why is that not a priority?
A thing.
Like why is that not a priority?
It should be. It's like just like how masks wearing, because that's another thing I saw in Japan. I would see people wearing masks, and I would think, what the hell? Why are they wearing masks? I thought it might be like a aesthetic thing, like they're wearing like because they would wear like these cool black masks.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, maybe it like looks cool. And then I found out that no, these people are sick.
They're being respectful.
They don't want to get other people sick. And then now that we have the pandemic, now we understand the concept of masks.
I know.
But that's like the same thing as like these toilets. I feel like that should be next. Maybe there could be like an asshole pandemic, so that like you would have to like wash your asshole.
Oh my gosh. I love that. There already is an asshole pandemic in the form of other humans.
Oh boy.
Anyway, moving on from that topic. I did like the sound effect though, so thank you for that. I'll be thinking about that next time I use a bidet.
It was just so cool. Like, I loved it. Oh, and the toilet seat also warms up. Okay, last thing.
Yeah, the toilet seats are warm when you sit on them.
So it's like when it's winter, you know, you like wake up in the middle of the night and like it's
there's
cold.
Nothing worse than like sitting on actually, unless it's a public toilet and you sit on a warm one that someone else was already on. Oh, it's the worst.
I don't know. I feel like the Japanese people can figure it all out, how to like be clean and comfortable.
Yeah.
They're super proper. Like, people would like bow down. In our hotel, people would like, they would like imagine like they would bring like room service or whatever, and then they would like bow down and then they would walk backwards so that they don't have their back on you as they exit the room, because that's how polite they were. Like, I remember their politeness was just like,
just not what you're used to. And yeah, I never had a bad experience with anybody there. I actually have a funny story. It's not funny, maybe. It was kind of scary for me, but I ended up getting lucky because people in Japan are so nice. But I had a job, and it was at a resort that was kind of far away. And basically, when I was living there, what they do is the agency gives you like a flip phone, and this is just a phone that you can use just to contact the agency. Like, they have a SIM in it for you. And this is back in the day, but usually they like drive you to every casting and whatnot. But when you have a job, you have to get there on your own, and they give you special instructions like in an envelope.
that was 6 years ago. That's not back in the day.
Well, back in the day, because now like you can just like use your smartphone and put a SIM in it. And I guess like back then they always had us have this.
Oh, because it was a different country, so they gave you guys like a new phone.
They gave us, every model had like a weird flip phone. I don't know. Anyway, they sent me to this job, and I was supposed to get on a bus, show the bus driver my stop, like just show him what it looked like, and like come to like an understanding that this is where he should tell me that I need to get off, you know. And he was like, okay. And I was like, here, you know. And like usually the bus drivers are pretty good. They would like look at us and be like, okay, get off, this is your stop. So anyway, I'm sitting on this bus. It was like an hour goes by, maybe 2. It was kind of far. And then the bus stops, and it's like the end of the line pretty much. And I'm like, what? Is this my stop? And he was like confused, like, no, he didn't tell me. And I was like, oh my gosh. I call my bookers, my managers, and I'm like, please talk to him, like giving him the phone. They're talking to him, like, this is not where she's supposed to be. Can you take her back? He's like, I can't, like, I'm a bus driver. This is not going on. The metro had closed for the day. I had no cash, so I couldn't get a cab. I'm literally like, she's talking to everybody. I was looking around at the lost little girl, like I'm crying.
It kind of sucks that they were having these like young, beautiful girls in a foreign country with no cash in their pockets.
Yeah, right. It's they give us like cash usually, but I didn't have enough, and so I'm like crying, and like my phone is talking to anybody that will talk. Like I didn't know what to do, and then this girl comes up to me. The only person I've heard speak English all day, she comes up to me, this Japanese girl, and she was like, are you okay? And I was like, I am like lost, basically. I'm supposed to be at this resort. And she was like, my friend has a car. We can take you. And I was
she Japanese?
Yeah, they were just like these Japanese, maybe a couple, I don't know. And I was just kind of like, oh, I'm going to go, am I going to get trafficked right now? Like, what's going to happen? And I literally was in no hope, just girl asking me, yeah, you can get in our car, we'll take you. Or like have this bus driver talk on the phone to my booker for another hour about nothing.
Hell yeah, I would have gone.
I was like, okay, I'm going. I was like, I'm just going. I didn't tell my booker because they would have been like, don't do it, So I just hung up on them, and I got in this car. And they drove me to my resort, and she talked to me, and she was like, yeah, I teach English at this university. I got so lucky. You guys have no idea how lucky I was, but that was just one of my best experiences, just showing that they're so, they just helped me. Like I was just like this lost little girl.
In Japan, I would have trusted random people to do that. But like in a different country, mm-hmm. So many other countries, I wouldn't have done that. No, they're really nice. I remember I like left my bag somewhere, my like stupid designer bag, and I like came back an hour later, and it was still there.
Yeah,
and this was like by a pool in a very main street because I wanted to like take pictures somewhere, so I like left it. I Came back an hour later with like my wallet and everything in it. It was still like not even touched.
Yeah.
It's like, damn,
Definitely.
these people are like so nice and proper, but they're some of the most repressed people I've ever seen in my entire life. Some of these countries that people are like extremely proper and extremely nice, they're very repressed. And I think out of all the countries I've been to, the most repressed countries that I've personally noticed have been Japan and Switzerland.
Oh, really? Switzerland?
Yeah, Switzerland, yeah, they're very, very, yeah. Like me and my friends were like, we like stood out. Like even in Japan, whenever we would go to a restaurant, just the fact that we were like drinking and talking and laughing and having a good time, everybody would stare at us.
Yeah.
Just because like we were like just having fun.
Yeah, that's such a toss-up, you know?
Yeah, one chef gave us a warning. He told us that you're not respecting my food.
Oh my.
yeah. No, it was like a Michelin star restaurant where like it can only like sit like 7 people at a bar, and there's like a chef in the middle like cooking, and he like serves people like one by one. And we were like drinking sake, and I was with like my Brazilian girlfriend. So Persians and Brazilians are like some of the loudest like probably countries ever. And we were like drinking and just laughing and like enjoying our time. And like we just like would feel like so frowned upon kind of, but like we didn't really care until he told one of our friends that he feels like we're offending, like we're not taking his work seriously. Like we had to step outside and like have a discussion and like come back inside and just kind of like sit like and then we would like take shots and be like, cheers.
Do you know what actually is like a sign of respect, or to say that their food is good, is to actually make a lot of noise? So like when you're having noodles, like,
oh Jesus,
like that means like it's slurp. Good. I actually studied Japanese in middle school, like language for 3 years, and our Japanese teacher always made sure that we knew that we would like be making noises while we're eating. He's like, "Oh, it's very good." It was so
like
nice.
Food noises, but not fun noises.
Not fun noises, just like loud eating, apparently.
Yeah, because how dare you have fun?
So yeah, we would practice our chopsticks in that class, and
how cute!
Yeah,
that sounds like a really cute class. I took German in college, and that was probably the biggest fail of my entire life.
Oh my god!
Not even lying. I took German for how long? At least 2 semesters, which is a year.
A year, yeah.
I took German for a year. Ask me if I know a goddamn word. Nope. And I was this whole class was so gibberish. I've never heard a language more gibberish than German. And I like, holy shit, like just for a simple word, like fucking pen, they have like half a line of, I'm like, that is so unnecessary.
It's so long.
It's so
I don't really remember a lot of Japanese words. I do remember the first alphabet, hiragana. I can write it and like read the sounds, but I can't translate it necessarily.
No.
But I can like read it and say it how they would. But
no, it was terrible. I was lucky I had this like German guy in my class who was taking German as second language, just to like pass it with an A, and he kind of liked me, so I would like have him like do all my homework. And during our tests, I didn't know all of the tests, so it wasn't just that he could tell me like one answer and I would like, no, I would need him to do all of the test for me. So I am so grateful because he liked me enough to switch his paper with me during the test, and he would like write all the answers for me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I fucking like passed with an A.
Girls, we have the power to do things.
Yeah, it's called pussy power.
Yeah,
to be exact.
Pussy privilege. Here we go.
Have you ever heard of anything called dick power? Mm-mm.
Oh my god.
It's a myth.
It's a myth. It's not even a myth. It's not even gotten that far yet. We haven't even gotten to the myth part. Sorry, Kyle.
No, it's amazing. I love being a girl. The only time I've ever thought about being a guy is just like, I just really want to write my name with P on snow. Like, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I mean, I think that you should still try it.
My boyfriend doesn't let me.
I don't get to have any fun.
I know. It also doesn't snow in Mexico where he lives. I'm like, can I write it on dirt? Anyway.
Oh my gosh.
Are you dating anyone?
Yeah, I do have a boyfriend.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How long?
It's, I guess, almost a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
LA?
Yeah, it kind of flourished during COVID.
Oh, flourished during COVID.
We were like friends before, and then we like quarantined together, and it just kind of went from there.
Tell me about him. What do you like about him the most? And what do you dislike about him the most?
Oh my gosh. Well, hopefully he doesn't listen to this.
Why? I feel like he should know both of those
he should
things.
know. He should know. I think what I like about him the most is his drive. Just every day, like he can't be the person that just like sits around. Like he gets up every day in the morning.
I like that too.
He always has something that he does. And he's also he's one of the very few men in LA who are handy. So he can build anything, like fix any of his cars, and he's just very like,
ooh, that's sexy.
Rugged
Does he
and
do
manly.
it shirtless?
He has, yes. It's
Okay.
very hot. But yeah, so he's like a cool classic car, and he's like the motorcycle, and like, but I love that. I love like the manly type.
How old is he?
He's 37.
I had a feeling that he would like not be in his 20s.
Yeah.
Because why would you know how to work with your hands if you're in your 20s?
Yeah, and men in their 20s are actually boys. They're not men, so.
I would agree with you, except my boyfriend is 28. And he is like such a man. And I've met boys in their 40s.
That's true.
In 50s,
you know what? That's actually very true.
In 50s. Like, I know a boy who's like, what, 52?
Still acts like he's in his 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he dates like a 19-year-old. I'm like, what are you doing?
It's just all relative for sure.
Like, you are going to be in diapers in like 10 years. Who's going to change it? Like, think a little bit more long term.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I like the manliness. I'm from the Midwest. I'm a Colorado girl, and I can appreciate that, like an outdoorsy type and somebody who isn't afraid to get dirty, because you get so many LA guys who are just so obsessed with like flashy things and the scene and
themselves.
Yeah. And that's just not who I am. I don't like to
be
around that type of energy. So yeah.
No, I totally feel you on that. And what do you dislike about him the most?
What do I dislike about him the most?
Come on, you've thought about this.
I would say that I think we have different love languages.
Oh.
And I think you're probably familiar with the book, right?
What are your love languages?
My number one love language is words of affirmation.
Okay.
And I think what I dislike about him would be that he doesn't take the time to understand that when I try to explain it to him, because we have different love languages.
What's your second love language?
I would say my second is physical touch.
Okay, what are his?
I really think his is acts of service. And words of affirmation for him is like, I think, on the lower side, and it's my number one. So I think that's sometimes where we used to clash, and I think now that we're more aware of each other, it's gotten better. If that makes sense. And if you guys aren't familiar, there's words of affirmation, physical touch, gifts,
acts of service,
and quality time.
Quality time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
What's yours?
Mine is. I think mine is touch me and serve me. So
Physical
touch and
acts of service.
Acts of service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
my boyfriend's is quality time and probably acts of service.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting. He's calling me right now.
Oh.
Picture of him in his hot tub.
That's a fun. I have a really funny. I'll show you what
everybody's photo in my phone is just a funny one. Well, I should make him take this test.
I was gonna get into that next. So you're ENFP.
Yes.
You should 100% have your boyfriend take it.
What are you?
I'm an ENTP. So me and you are basically in the same category.
Actually.
Which is because like you looked at, see, this is another thing. You looked at our charts and we were very similar. Yeah. And even our Myers-Briggs, ENFP and ENTPs are always put in the same category.
The one part of it I maybe disagree with was the actually where we differ. The thinking, feeling. Maybe not disagree. I just feel like it's actually like a split for me. Because I'm a very...
Well, let's look at your percentages.
Yeah. That one was hard for me because I feel very split on that.
So your extroverted is 44%, so you're pretty extroverted. So you charge with people. You're 31% intuitive. You're 25% feeling. And your perceiving is 7%. So I would say you are a feeler. So now that doesn't mean that you just break down and curl up in a ball and like cry all the time, but it's your decision making mostly. Yeah. It's
well, that's what I was saying was I feel like I really think I analyze things a lot when I make decisions, and so but I feel a lot too. It's hard to say. Yeah. A tough one.
It's just like you gotta understand when they say someone is a feeler, that doesn't mean that they make all of their decisions based on feeling, or someone who's a thinker makes. You don't understand, as human beings, as a species, we're extremely emotional beings. Most of our decisions are made by feelings. Most of the stuff we buy that have like some sort of an emotional entanglement somewhere. There's like an emotional reason why we do stuff, why we say stuff. So for the most part, I would say most humans are very emotional. But then it comes to like that little bit of split where like you may like weigh a little bit more on like, okay, I do try to be a little bit more logical when it comes to decision making, or I go with my gut feeling.
Okay, then in that case, when you put it that way, I suppose.
Another thing with feelers versus thinkers is that feelers are so much about harmony. They're so much about just kind of getting a feel of everyone's feelings and emotions in a room and making sure that a balance and harmony. So whenever they make decisions, they consider other people's emotions a lot more than thinkers do, which I do think is a huge valuable thing. Yeah. With thinkers, a lot of times it's like, I think about what's the right thing to do. That might not even be in my own benefit, let alone someone else's. But with someone who's a feeler, a lot of times they think, but it's more about harmony than what's the right thing. With the thinkers, it's more about, no, what's the right thing to do.
Yeah, and I do consider other people, like, in my decisions too much, I think. I think my friends are always telling me that I'm just very empathetic. And I mean, it's a great thing. It's a great thing, but
especially for a woman, it's just like nice and like feminine and like womanly, like, you know.
It definitely helps with my writing, so I can say that.
Yeah, like you're in touch with your emotions. I feel like a lot of times I'm like I have to like be conscious of my emotions and then like figure them out. So I have to like kind of like go like bottom top type of thing. Like I had to like, and that's something that I have to like be aware of, and I have to be like, what am I feeling? What am I like? What is this that like is like this feeling is like rising inside me? You know, it doesn't like come easy to me
to access like that emotion.
Yeah, or especially in like seeing it in other people. Like when, for example, here's an easy example. When a friend, like if I'm talking to a friend, I like used to have this very emotional, very feeler friend, and with a lot of our discussions, she would just like break down and cry very easily. And that like kind of like does not I don't do that a lot of times, especially if we're having like a reasonable conversation. So for me, it was like really difficult to get myself to be like empathetic and understanding of her like emotions, and get myself to be like, because I kind of wanted to just be like, shut the fuck up. Like we're just having a conversation. Like, why are you crying? Just like get it together. Bring some points to the table. Like, you know, I'm very just like kind of a lot of times like boom, 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 bring points. Like, let's see whose points are more valid. But a lot of times you kind of just gotta like chill the fuck out and like just relate to people and let them like be comfortable in their like emotions and just be human, you know?
That's a good point. Yeah. And I was going to ask you, let's see, do you have your percentages like available?
I do, and I'll give them to you after I wrap up this, because we're actually done.
Okay, perfect.
But I'll actually I don't remember the last time I took Myers-Briggs. I have to take it again, because I take it like every few months just to see how my percentages have changed. For example, I'm trying to, be more in touch with my feelings. So I see if my thinking percentage has like come down, because that means, like my work of like, you know, self-awareness and self-improvement.
You can see your progress.
Yeah, so I take it like every few months just to see how I've changed. And they change a lot, especially based on like a phase and a mood that you're going through. So I actually have to retake it because I haven't taken it in a long time. So when I retake it, I'll send you my percentages because I don't remember the last time I took it. But thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. I feel like we could talk for hours.
I know. It's so easy to talk to. Tell people where to find you also.
Okay, yeah. My name is Kari, and on Instagram, it's Kari Cassandra. That's Kari. So I'll see you guys there. And I'm on TikTok, same username. So
hopefully if it doesn't get banned and deleted.
It hopefully doesn't get banned. And yeah, you guys should keep up with me. I'm publishing a book next year. So
oh, that's so sexy.
That's super I'm going to be an author.
Ooh, at such a young age. I'll buy it. I'll for sure. What's the book going to be called?
It's called Through the Blues. It's a poetry book. So write poetry. Yeah.
How cute. How ENFP of you. Do you think I would ever have it in me to write poetry? No.
Anybody can write poetry. Maybe it will help you get in touch.
Yes, you're right. All right, you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Move with the rhythm. Shake it up, stop when the clock hits 13. You've been working, but you're flirting with the weekend.